Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the Fantasy Football Counselor. In this video, we're going to be talking about 3 sneaky fantasy football breakouts for 2020 fantasy football. Let's get to it. Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the Fantasy Football Counselor. I'm excited about this episode because we're talking about 3 sneaky fantasy football breakouts for 2020 fantasy football. I've got the list right in front of me, and these guys could definitely sneak under the radar and have that top 10 potential. Now, you may call them fantasy football sleepers, but I call them potential breakouts, sneaky potential breakouts. I'm going to give that list to you right now. But before I do, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up. It genuinely means a lot to me. Hit the thumbs up. I really appreciate it before we start this video. I'm going to wait. Smash the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. It means a lot. Listen, also, your questions, leave them below. I'm going to get to as many as I possibly can. And me and Tim and I actually are going to be answering a lot of those questions. Not all of them, but as many as we can on the main podcast show, shouting you guys out because we genuinely want to help as many people not only win fantasy football 2020 and beyond, but dominate fantasy football. That's our main mission here and our goal. All right, so guys, do that. Thumbs up, the subscribe, of course, and your questions below. Interact. Let me know if you guys also agree with these sneaky fantasy football breakouts. First one, all right, is Diontae Johnson. Now, a lot of people are like, you know, Diontae, he was okay last year. You know, the 92 targets, 59 receptions, 680 yards, 5 touchdowns. Not bad, Joe. I think there's some flashes there. But why would he potentially crack the top 10, top 20 next year? How can he be a really sneaky breakout? Now, he has shown glimpses of breakout. We saw that. But we didn't see that with Big Ben. We want to see him really shine with Big Ben. Now, going back to history, I like history when it comes to fantasy football, because it gives me a lot of information. It gives me a lot of analytics. The story is answered here in history. So I look back at 2018. What do I see? I see Antonio Brown. Yes, it's Antonio Brown, elite receiver. And I know Diontae Johnson is not on that level. Could be one day. Who knows, right? We can't judge yet. So Antonio Brown, I see him with 168 targets. And I see Juju with 166 targets. That tells me that there's a ton of volume to go around if Big Ben is throwing the ball. That's 2018. Both Antonio Brown and Juju finished in the top 10 amongst receivers. So that's telling me there's a ton of upside for Diontae Johnson, especially with Juju, who, you know, hasn't proven that he could take the top corner. If that's the case, that's going to open up a lot of things for Diontae Johnson. The only problem I'm seeing here is, the only obstacle I see here with Diontae Johnson is if the Steelers decide to acquire another wide receiver. And we know how deep the NFL wide receiver class is here at the NFL draft. So my concern is if the Steelers acquire another ace wide receiver, that could affect Diontae Johnson. If not, he is definitely a sneaky fantasy football breakout for 2020. Moving on, let's move on to the second breakout. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of rolling of the eyes. And Joe, you told me David Montgomery last year. Listen, David Montgomery is my second sneaky potential breakout. He had a couple opportunities. We saw some flashes, but we didn't see that major breakout that we want to see out of David Montgomery. And I believe 2020 could be the year. Now, be careful. Do not invest too early capital on this guy. You can get him later, and he's got a ton of upside. Now, people think he was a total bust. He was a bust based on his average draft position, which was 3rd or 4th last year. But listen, this guy finished 24th in PPR. Not absolutely terrible. Only 242 attempts. I'm expecting those attempts to go up this year if Nagy pulls his head out of his ass and actually gives the ball to him. Now, Tariq Cohen stole 104 receptions that could have gone to David Montgomery. Now, if I'm the coach's owner and I'm the head coach, I'm keeping Montgomery on the field because that guy can catch the ball as well. So when you're looking at David Montgomery next year, look for him to have a higher ceiling. Again, 6 touchdowns, expect that to increase. 889 yards, expect that to increase. And he did that with a terrible O-line. Not to mention, Mitch Trubisky has not found his groove yet. Will he stay on? Is he going to be the guy? There's talk that Mitch is still going to be the guy. If that's the case, come on, Bears. Improve your O-line. Feed Montgomery the ball. Get Mitch into a groove. Maybe give him a better wide receiver, spread the field. Robinson could do a good job, but I still think they need a better second receiver. So if they reduce the passes to Tariq Cohen And guys, Tariq Cohen can't catch. That's the thing. 104 targets, only 79 receptions. He was leading the team in dropped passes. So when you look at David Montgomery, maybe he's going to be a solid RB3 on your team with potential upside to crack the top 10, maybe even the 15, maybe even 20 next year. But David Montgomery, if he's fed the ball, if they improve the O-line, if Nagy pulls his head out of his ass, we've got ourselves a potential top 10 to top 20 running back, solid RB2 with upside going into 2020 fantasy football, and what I consider a sneaky fantasy football breakout. The third sneaky breakout here. Now, a lot of people are going to be investing, and I told you guys last year, do not invest in Pat Mahomes early, but a lot of people are going to be investing in a quarterback early. What I typically do is I get an ace quarterback, a guy that's a top 5 that I can get in the 5th, 6th round and not invest too much capital and still lock in my RB strategy, my robust RB strategy, and still anchor my team with an ace quarterback. Once I do that, I look for that solid backup, a guy that could break out, a guy that's got a high ceiling. This year, that guy is going to be my number 3 sneaky breakout, Daniel Jones. I'm going to tell you why I like Daniel Jones, okay? Because again, I back everything up I say. 3,027 yards, not bad. 24 touchdowns, not bad. 12 interceptions, a little high for me. Now listen, he had some great weeks. Week 3, Week 8, Week 10, Week 16. Look him up. 3 out of those 4 games, he averaged over 30 points fantasy, okay? 30 plus points in those games. One of those weeks was a 28-pointer out of those 4 big breakout weeks. Now, he had 2 weeks where he was kind of a bit on a low, 2 really bad games. I think he was a 5-pointer, a 10-pointer type games, but relatively consistent at the quarterback position. This is a guy that you can get super late in your drafts as a backup quarterback that could potentially crack the top 12. Yes, you heard it here first. Daniel Jones, predicated on the fact that, number 1, they give him, again, this was his first year going at it. He didn't have any receivers. The O-line was terrible. He had to learn everything. Daniel Jones now, assuming he gets settled in, assuming they beef up the O-line, assuming they actually give him a target to throw the ball to, has a ton of upside. I'm picturing at least a 30 touchdown, 10 interception type of year, 3,500 plus passing yards, maybe even some rushing touchdowns. Maybe if he's in the goal line or something near the goal line, maybe he'll sneak a few in. Daniel Jones is a guy, again, as a backup, you can get him late on your roster, and he's got that upside. He is my 3rd breakout. Again, Diontae Johnson, David Montgomery, Daniel Jones. You could call them sleepers. I like to call them potential breakouts because I think the ceiling is high for these 3 young, amazing, talented players going into 2020 fantasy football. That's it for today, guys. Those are your breakouts. Make sure you guys smash that thumbs up. Leave a comment below and your question. Let me know if you agree with these. And again, those questions, I will get to as many as I can directly here on YouTube. And of course, guys, follow me on my social. There's a link below to my website. It has all my social links there. And of course, pre-order the 16-round draft solution. I give you the optimal players to draft in each round for 2020 fantasy football. You're going to not only win your leagues, you're going to crush your leagues and absolutely dominate. I will see you guys next video. Thanks for being here.